I want to heal. I want to be free. So let me lean into these places where I am triggered. Let me see what medicine is here, because I promise you there's always medicine to be had in these spaces. Hello, beautiful family. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Dr. Sarah. I'm a naturopathic doctor and an East Asian medicine practitioner. I have a master's degree in traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture and a doctorate in naturopathic medicine. And I really work in the mind, body, and mental emotional realm in supporting people with chronic and invisible diseases like autoimmune disease, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, mast cell activation, chronic digestive distress, and mental illness, and help them to step into true freedom and liberation, not only in their bodies, but also in their lives. Today, I want to talk about triggers, and I want to talk about how to actually work with our triggers so we can use them in order to step into true freedom and liberation in our bodies and in our lives, because that is why they're here. What is a trigger? A trigger is something that is pointing us to places within us that are wounded and that we have not tended to. Things that are disintegrated. They are not integrated. That could be traumas or experiences that are not integrated. So for example, if somebody told you that the sky was green, you wouldn't get triggered by that. You'd be like, no, babe, the sky's blue. Like, it would not elicit, you wouldn't get mad about that, right? You would not get triggered from that. The only way that something can trigger you is if it is tapping on something that is very real for you. It is tapping on a wound. It is tapping on a suppressed emotion. It is tapping on a trauma. It is tapping on a belief that lives within you. Instead of crafting our worlds around not getting triggered and telling people, oh, you can't do this, you can't say this, you can't X, Y, and Z, right? Of course, there's a difference between setting boundaries and standing up for yourself. And then that is different from completely manipulating the world around you. I really want to talk about how we can actually utilize our triggers in order to heal. Because the way that I see it is that every single fractal of the manifestations of our lives, from our health, from our bodies, to our relationships, to our experiences, are all a deep prayer that is sent out from the center of our beings, the core of our beings, that are calling out these experiences in order to trigger us. They're truly, it's like the manifestation of your body, the manifestation of your relationships, all of the things that you experience in life are precisely called in order for you to be triggered, because triggers are actually pointing us to all of the places that we are not free. And so if we can really soften into and really lean into our triggers, we can find so much medicine inside of them. Working with triggers can actually be incredibly empowering when we can take a step back. I feel like that is my superpower as a doctor, as a facilitator, is taking a step back, and instead of seeing all of these different things at random, the manifestation in our bodies, the relationships that we keep calling in, the dynamics that we keep calling in, actually taking a step back and saying, what's the common thread here? How are all of these things connected? That is going to gift you so much information. It's so incredibly powerful. If you're feeling stuck and you really want to identify how the heck to work with your triggers and how to identify what they're communicating to you, one of the most powerful ways to do this is when you get triggered to ask yourself, what are you making that mean about yourself? Usually you are going to be coming back to an I am statement. I am making that mean that I am not worthy. I'm making that mean that I am not good enough. I'm making that mean that I don't belong. I am making that mean that I'm not going to be okay. What is the core belief that those triggers are creating you to feel like? Another way is to ask yourself how that trigger makes you feel. If it's a trigger in your body or a trigger in a relationship, how is that experience making you feel? And then whatever that emotion is, asking yourself, where else in your life is that showing up? Is that also showing up in your romantic relationship? Is it showing up in your body? Is it showing up at work? I promise you, you will find a common thread, because the manifestations that we hold in our bodies, those things that trigger us, are going to show up in every single fractal of our lives as a deep prayer from the center of our beings in order to step into true freedom and liberation. When we can really soften and we can really lean into and taking a bow of like, this is deep medicine, this is going to help me step into freedom and liberation in my body, it is such a beautiful thing. It's one of my favorite ways to actually do this work, because some people feel really stuck in like, okay, this sounds so beautiful, Sarah, but how do I do this? This is a beautiful way to do it, because guess what? We all get triggered. It's a really gorgeous way to actually do this work. Those of you who have been following my journey know that I have just moved out of the deepest, darkest, most shadowiest season of my life in Seattle and moved to Maui, which had been a deep prayer of mine for a long time. I've been here for a little over 5 months, and it has been so deeply triggering. I have been so deeply triggered. And for those of you who don't know, never been to the Hawaiian Islands, the Hawaiian Islands are a little bit like a ceremony in and of itself. You feel everything very deeply. For whatever reason, this is a very, very deeply feeling place, and you feel your emotions incredibly, incredibly deeply. You know, I had done all of this deep work in my body, right? So I had done all of this deep work, gotten myself out of this very deep dis-ease in my body, deep autoimmunity, mast cell activation, chronic fatigue, really bad anxiety, bad digestive distress, like out of this space, and could not wait to get to Hawaii and be living my best life, to find myself so deeply triggered in other aspects of my life. It's like the healing continues, right? So we heal on a spiral, and it was like my relationship with my body was one way that I was working through all of my core wounds and my false limiting beliefs. And then getting here, it's like, oh, the relationships that I have called in and the experiences that I have called in are now this deeper way that I am working through all of that. And it's a beautiful thing, because I think that I was very hardened to that, right? It's like, we don't want to be triggered. It doesn't feel good to be triggered, but when we can soften, and Hawaii has really helped me to soften my edges around like, okay, like I prayed for this. Like, I want to heal. I want to be free. So let me lean into these places where I am triggered. Let me see what medicine is here, because I promise you there's always medicine to be had in these spaces. And so that is my invitation to you, that if you are seeking freedom and liberation in your body, in your life, it is to just soften into these spaces where you are triggered, and just gifting yourself space to be with whatever is there. Doing this work, I always say some really easy ways of doing it is when you get triggered, to first of all create awareness of like, okay, I'm triggered right now. I'm going to create space for myself to feel whatever is here. There is emotions, and there's nothing to do with emotions other than to feel them. So if you're feeling angry, you're feeling sad, you're feeling whatever you're feeling, give yourself space to feel whatever it is. Create awareness, allow yourself to feel whatever you're feeling, and then ask yourself, what am I making this mean about myself? Because I'm triggered, what am I making that mean about myself? And then asking yourself, is that true? Usually that'll bring you back to a false limiting belief, and you can ask yourself, is this true? And the answer is always no. Making space for your experience is incredibly important. And then after you have garnered that awareness, and then you have made space for your emotions and whatever's coming up, you have identified what belief you're being brought back to, then you can put that belief in its place. It's not true, and it is just born out of a situation in childhood, which I have lots of videos diving into core wounds and false limiting beliefs and how to actually uncover those. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see a little bit more lifestyle content, please leave a comment below, and make sure that you hit that subscribe button and hit the like button and leave a comment. Until next time.